Sometimes life feels like standing in the middle of a storm. The winds of challenges blowing hard, the clouds of confusion hiding every ray of light. In those moments, despair whispers, "It's over." But hope quietly says, "Hold on." Hope is not the denial of reality. It is the refusal to give up. It is that gentle light that refuses to be put out, even when everything around you seems dark. When we face heartbreak, loss, or failure, it's easy to feel like everything is slipping away. But remember, even in the darkest tunnel, there is light ahead. Just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Often, life hides its greatest blessings behind moments of brokenness. When we hold on, even when it hurts, we begin to see that pain has a purpose, and tears are not signs of weakness, but of cleansing. Hope is not something we find outside, in people, possessions, or positions. It is something we cultivate within. When we strengthen our inner world, the outer storms don't shake us as much. Every sunrise after a long night reminds us that no darkness is permanent. Our hearts can break, but they can also heal. Our dreams can fall apart, but they can also be rebuilt. Hope is the bridge between what was lost and what can be found again. So, when despair knocks, don't push it away. Sit with it, understand it, but don't let it stay forever. Let it teach you patience, resilience, and faith. The deepest wounds often produce the strongest souls. And when we rise after falling, we rise not as who we were, but as who we were meant to be. Despair is a temporary phase, not a permanent state. It is the shadow that appears when our light dims. But even shadows exist only when there is light somewhere. Life often places us in moments that seem unbearable. The loss of someone we love, the failure of a dream we held close, or the silence that follows heartbreak. In those times, it feels as though the world has stopped moving, as if happiness has abandoned us forever. Yet, the truth is, despair is never the end. It is merely a chapter in the story, not the whole book. Just as the darkest night gives birth to dawn, the deepest sorrow prepares the ground for joy to bloom again. When we are in despair, our mind convinces us that it will last forever. We believe that the pain will never fade, that the emptiness will never fill. But everything in life moves in cycles. Day follows night. Winter gives way to spring, and tears eventually dry. If we look back on our past, we realize that every hardship we thought would break us has instead shaped us. The pain we endured yesterday taught us strength. The losses we suffered made us grateful for what we have, and the disappointments we faced opened new doors we hadn't seen before. Hope begins when we remind ourselves that change is the only constant, and no feeling, no matter how dark, can stay forever. Despair often tries to convince us that we are alone. It whispers that no one understands, that no one cares. But that is the illusion of pain. Even in our loneliest moments, there are people who love us, memories that sustain us, and unseen forces that guide us. The seed buried beneath the soil may think it has been forgotten, but in truth, it is being prepared to grow. Likewise, when life buries us in challenges, it is not our end, it is our preparation. The pressure, the weight, the darkness, they are not punishments. They are part of the process that transforms us into something stronger and deeper. When we understand that despair is temporary, we stop fighting it and start learning from it. We allow it to teach us patience, humility, and resilience. We realize that pain is not our enemy. It is a messenger showing us what truly matters. Despair strips away the unnecessary and brings us face to face with our true selves. It makes us appreciate small joys, kind words, and peaceful moments in a way that comfort never could. The rain may fall for days, but when it stops, everything feels fresher, cleaner, more alive. There comes a time when we must remind ourselves that the present storm is not the final scene. Life has a strange way of surprising us when we least expect it. Just when we think we can't go on, a small blessing appears. A friend's call, a stranger's kindness, a new opportunity, reminding us that hope was never gone. It was just waiting for us to look up. Despair may visit us, but it cannot live with us unless we let it. So, when the nights seem endless and your heart feels heavy, whisper to yourself, "This is not forever." Hold on, breathe. Trust that the sun will rise again, because it always does. Hope doesn't deny pain. It gives us strength to face it. Too often, we misunderstand hope as pretending everything is fine, as wearing a smile even when our heart is breaking. But real hope is not about ignoring pain. It's about acknowledging it fully and still choosing to move forward. It's about standing in the middle of a storm, drenched and trembling, and still believing that the sky will clear someday. Hope is not the absence of suffering. It is the courage to keep walking through it. When life knocks us down, pain becomes inevitable. It seeps into our days, lingers in our thoughts, and clouds our hearts. Yet in the midst of that heaviness, hope whispers softly, "You can get through this." It doesn't erase the hurt or make the problems vanish. Instead, it gives us a reason to rise, a reason to try again. Hope is the inner strength that allows us to cry at night, but still wake up in the morning, ready to face the world. It's the quiet voice that says, "This may be tough, but you've survived tough before." Many people try to escape pain through distractions, denial, or pretending it doesn't exist. But pain, when faced with honesty, becomes a teacher. It shows us our depth, our resilience, and our capacity to love. Hope doesn't ask us to run away from our struggles. It asks us to walk through them with faith that they won't last forever. When we learn to sit with our pain instead of pushing it away, we discover that it begins to transform. It softens into understanding, it deepens into empathy, and it shapes us into wiser, stronger human beings. There is a beauty in brokenness that only hope can reveal. When our hearts break, they make room for something new, new compassion, new clarity, new strength. Just like a seed must break open for a plant to grow, our pain cracks open parts of us that were asleep. Hope helps us see beyond the hurt to the healing that waits on the other side. It reminds us that our scars are not signs of weakness, but proof that we fought and didn't give up. Life is unpredictable, and there will be moments when we feel completely powerless. During those times, hope acts like an anchor. It keeps us grounded when everything else is shifting. Even when the waves crash and the wind howls, hope whispers that the storm will pass. It may not happen immediately, and it may not happen the way we expect, but it will pass. That belief is what gives us the strength to endure, to take one more step, and to keep breathing even when it hurts. When we embrace pain with hope, we turn it into purpose. We stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" That change in perspective is what transforms despair into growth. Hope doesn't promise that life will be easy, but it promises that no experience will be wasted. Every tear, every loss, every challenge becomes part of our becoming. So, when life feels unbearable, don't try to silence your pain. Listen to it, honor it, and let hope guide you through it. Cry if you must, rest if you need to, but don't lose faith. The light may seem far away, but it's still there, waiting for you to reach it. Hope is the hand that holds yours in the darkness and says, "We're going to make it." Inner strength is built in times of darkness. It is not something we inherit, nor something that appears when everything is easy. True strength is born in the moments when life feels unbearable, when the weight of circumstances seems too heavy to carry. It is in those times when we feel weak, lost, and broken that our spirit quietly begins to grow. We often wish for smooth paths, but it's the rough roads that teach us how to climb. It's the nights of tears that show us how to smile again with deeper gratitude. When everything is going well, we rarely stop to think about what we are capable of. Comfort keeps us complacent. But when the ground beneath us shakes, when plans fail and people leave, that's when we discover the strength we never knew existed within us. The world outside may fall apart, but the real battle happens within, in our thoughts, our faith, and our determination. Each time we refuse to give up, even when everything tells us to, we strengthen the muscles of our soul. Inner strength is not about pretending to be unshakable. It's about standing tall even when you tremble. Dark times have a way of revealing our hidden potential. A diamond is only formed under immense pressure, and so are we. Pain pushes us to grow, to dig deeper, to find purpose beyond the surface of suffering. When we face adversity, we begin to understand what truly matters. We let go of superficial attachments and turn inward for peace. The world may see our silence as weakness, but within that silence, something powerful is being created: resilience. That quiet fire that says, "I will rise again." Inner strength doesn't mean we never fall apart. It means we learn how to rebuild. We may cry, we may stumble, but we don't stay down forever. Each time we get back up, we rise with more wisdom and compassion. Every wound, teaches us something new about endurance. Every failure shows us a new way forward. And every heartbreak deepens our capacity to love, not just others, but ourselves. Strength is not built in the moments of success. It is built in the moments of struggle, when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, and yet we keep moving forward anyway. There are times when we pray for the darkness to end quickly, but sometimes the darkness is not there to destroy us, it's there to develop us. It teaches us patience, faith, and trust in the unseen. It humbles our ego and reminds us that control is an illusion. When we surrender to the process, we begin to find light even in the smallest things. A kind word, a sunrise, or a moment of peace within chaos. The same pain that once seemed unbearable becomes the reason we find strength to face the future. In every trial, there's an invitation to grow beyond who we were, to stop relying on the external world for validation and find confidence within ourselves. Inner strength is not loud or showy. It is quiet, steady, and calm. It doesn't need to prove anything. It simply stands firm, knowing that even if the world falls apart, the soul will still endure. And when we emerge from the darkness, we are no longer the same. We are refined, renewed, and ready for the light. The mind can be our greatest enemy or our greatest friend. It holds the power to shape our reality, not just by what we experience, but by how we interpret what we experience. When the mind is calm, it becomes a guiding light. When it is clouded by fear, anger, or negativity, it can lead us into despair. The same situation can either strengthen or shatter us, depending on the story our mind chooses to tell. This is why mastering the mind is one of life's greatest achievements. For peace is not found in the absence of problems, but in the presence of a stable mind. Our thoughts are like seeds. What we plant, we eventually harvest. If we constantly sow thoughts of doubt, pain, and hopelessness, we will reap anxiety and despair. But if we plant faith, gratitude, and courage, even in the middle of chaos, we will reap peace and clarity. The problem is that many of us let our minds run wild like an untamed horse, dragging us into places we don't want to go. We allow every fear, every regret, every negative comment to take root and grow, slowly, without realizing it. We become prisoners of our own thinking. The chains that bind us are not physical they are made of thoughts we've refused to challenge. When the mind turns against us, even the smallest problem feels unbearable. A single failure feels like the end of the world. A rejection feels like proof that we are not enough. But when the mind becomes our ally, even in the middle of pain, we find meaning and direction. The way we speak to ourselves determines whether we rise or fall. Instead of saying, "I can't handle this," we can learn to say, "I will find a way." Instead of thinking, "Everything is going wrong," we can remind ourselves, "This is just a phase. It will pass." Words have power, but the thoughts behind them have even more. A peaceful mind does not mean a mind free from struggle. It means a mind that doesn't allow struggle to control it. When life hits hard, our mind begins to panic, replaying every mistake, every hurt, every uncertainty. But through awareness, we can learn to pause and observe. The moment we step back and watch our thoughts, instead of being consumed by them, we take back our power. We begin to realize that we are not our thoughts. We are the awareness that watches them come and go. That simple understanding can change everything. Training the mind is like training a muscle. It takes patience, consistency, and practice. Meditation, prayer, reflection, these are tools that help us build mental strength. The more we use them, the more resilient we become. Gradually, the storms of life lose their power to shake us. We still feel pain, we still face challenges, but we no longer drown in them. We learn to stand in the rain without losing our calm. When our mind becomes our friend, life becomes lighter. We start to notice beauty in small things, in a smile in silence, in simple moments of peace. We stop overthinking what we cannot control and focus on what we can. We begin to live with intention instead of reaction. The mind, once our greatest obstacle, becomes our greatest support. It becomes a shelter instead of a battlefield. And that is where true hope and strength are found. Every setback carries the seed of a comeback. Life never moves in a straight line. It weaves through moments of joy and despair, success and failure. Sometimes we climb mountains with ease, and sometimes we stumble in the valleys of disappointment. But hidden within every failure, within every fall, lies the potential for growth. Setbacks are not signs that life is against us. They are life's way of preparing us for something greater. The delay is not denial, it is direction. The obstacle is not rejection, it is redirection. When we face a setback, our first instinct is often to question why it happened. We feel anger, frustration, or even shame. But if we take a moment to pause and look deeper we often find that the situation is guiding us somewhere we might not have gone otherwise. The job we lost might be pushing us toward a career that better aligns with our purpose. The relationship that ended may be creating space for one that helps us grow. The plan that failed may be protecting us from something we couldn't yet see. What feels like an ending is often the beginning of something better. If we have the patience to wait and the courage to see beyond the pain. Every great story, every strong person carries moments of deep failure. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck is not luck, but perspective. Setbacks test our vision. They ask, do you believe in your dream, even when it's not working out? They refine our character and make us more humble, grounded, and wise. Success achieved without struggle is fragile, but success earned through failure is powerful. It's in the moments when we have to rebuild from nothing that we discover our true strength. A seed must be buried in darkness before it can sprout. The same is true for us. Sometimes life buries us under challenges so that we can take root and grow stronger. We may not understand it while we are in the dark, but eventually we rise. Every setback teaches us something: patience, resilience, or faith. It gives us a deeper appreciation for what we achieve later. Without defeat, victory loses its sweetness. Without struggle, achievement loses its meaning. The pain we endure gives purpose to the joy we later experience. When we hold on through setbacks, we begin to transform. We stop seeing failure as the opposite of success and start seeing it as part of success. The road to any worthwhile destination is never smooth. Every fall shapes us. Every disappointment polishes us. Like gold refined by fire, we emerge stronger, purer, and more focused. The comeback is not about going back to who we were. It's about becoming someone new, wiser, calmer, and more compassionate. Sometimes the comeback isn't even about achieving something material. It's about rediscovering peace, joy, and meaning. It's about realizing that even after everything falls apart, we can still smile, still love, still hope. That's the greatest victory: to rise not only after we've lost, but after we've learned. So, when life pulls you back, don't see it as punishment. Just like an arrow, the further it's pulled back, the further it will fly. Every setback, no matter how painful, is just preparing you for the flight ahead, the comeback that will make the struggle worth it. Gratitude is the foundation of hope. When everything seems to fall apart, gratitude becomes the quiet anchor that keeps us steady. It does not always change our circumstances, but it changes the way we see them. It shifts our focus from what's missing to what's still present, from what we've lost to what we still have. Gratitude reminds us that even in the darkest moments, there are small lights shining, blessings we often overlook because our pain feels too loud. When we choose to be thankful, not after life becomes easy, but in the midst of difficulty, we awaken a strength within us that despair cannot destroy. It is easy to be grateful when everything goes right, but true gratitude is tested when life doesn't go according to plan. When we face loss, disappointment, or struggle, our mind tends to focus on what's gone. Yet, even then, there are countless things that remain: the breath we take, the lessons we learn, the people who care for us, and the opportunities that still await. Gratitude is not blindness to pain. It's the awareness that even pain carries gifts within it. Every challenge teaches us something. Every tear cleanses something, and every failure redirects us towards something more meaningful. When we cultivate gratitude, we create space for hope to grow. A grateful heart does not dwell on fear or bitterness. It finds reasons to smile even in the middle of uncertainty. Gratitude softens the hard edges of pain and opens our eyes to beauty that exists right beside the struggle. It helps us see that life is not entirely broken. There are still parts that work, still moments that sparkle, still people who care. Hope thrives in that realization. When we focus on even one small blessing, it lights up the darkness just enough for us to take one more step forward. Gratitude also humbles us. It reminds us that we are not alone in our journey, that life is not a solo achievement, but a tapestry woven with the kindness of others. From the stranger who smiles to the friend who listens, from the family that supports us to the unseen blessings that guide us, gratitude turns our attention to what we've received rather than what we've been denied. This humility allows us to connect more deeply with others and to see that despite our pain, there is still goodness in the world. That realization is what keeps hope alive. When we start to live with gratitude, our energy changes. The heaviness of resentment slowly lifts, replaced by a quiet peace. We begin to attract positivity because we start seeing it everywhere. Gratitude doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means trusting that even imperfection serves a purpose. It is the choice to look for light when darkness surrounds us. It's saying, I may not have everything I want, but I'm thankful for what I have, and I trust that life is still working in my favor. Each day gives us something to be grateful for. The warmth of the sun, the sound of laughter, the lessons hidden in mistakes. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it's a daily practice. The more we practice it, the stronger it becomes, and the more hope it generates. When we thank life for what we have today, we open the door for better things tomorrow. Gratitude is the seed, hope is the flower. Together, they help us see that no matter how broken things seem, there is always something worth holding on to, something worth thanking life for, and something worth hoping for. Faith gives birth to hope, and hope sustains faith. They are like two wings of the same bird. One cannot fly without the other. Faith is believing that something good can happen, even when you can't see it. And hope is the strength that helps you hold on until it does. In moments of despair, when logic fails and circumstances seem impossible, it is faith that whispers, there is a reason. Keep going. Faith is not built on perfect outcomes, but on trust. Trust that there is meaning even in the mess, order even in the chaos, and purpose even in the pain. When life feels uncertain, faith becomes the unseen hand guiding us through the fog. We may not know what lies ahead, but we move anyway, because faith tells us that the path will appear as we walk. It does not remove fear completely, but it gives us the courage to act despite fear. Many people wait for clarity before they begin, but those with faith begin before they see. They understand that light is not always shown at the start. Sometimes it appears only after we've taken the first step. Hope is the child born out of this faith. It grows stronger every time we trust, every time we choose to believe when it would be easier to give up. Hope gives color to life's gray moments. It keeps our hearts alive when everything else seems lifeless. When we have faith that a higher plan is at work, whether we call it God, the universe, or destiny, we stop being crushed by the weight of what we don't understand. We begin to accept that some things fall apart not to break us, but to rebuild us in ways we can't yet imagine. Faith is often tested in silence. When prayers seem unanswered, when time stretches longer than expected, When nothing makes sense, that's when faith matures. It's easy to believe when blessings come quickly, but it's in the waiting, in the struggle, that our trust deepens. Sometimes faith doesn't change our situation immediately, it changes us. It makes us patient, peaceful, and resilient. It teaches us to surrender, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom, the understanding that some things unfold only when we stop forcing them. Hope, on the other hand, is what keeps us from giving up during those times. It's the flame that refuses to go out, no matter how fierce the wind of doubt blows. When our eyes are filled with tears, hope clears the vision of the heart. It reminds us that just because we can't see the sun doesn't mean it's not shining. Faith tells us that the sun exists. Hope helps us wait until the clouds pass. Together, they create balance. Faith gives direction, and hope gives endurance. Many of the most beautiful transformations in life happen when faith and hope work together. Faith helps us trust the process, and hope helps us walk through it with strength. When one weakens, the other revives it. When faith begins to fade, hope reminds us of what's possible. When hope starts to dim, faith reminds us of what's promised. They are the soul's greatest companions, turning despair into courage and darkness into light. When we nurture them, we don't just survive life's storms, we grow through them, emerging wiser, softer, and stronger than before. Helping others in despair rekindles our own hope. When life feels heavy and our heart is filled with pain, the most healing thing we can sometimes do is reach out to someone else who is also struggling. Compassion has a unique power. It turns our pain into purpose. By comforting others, we unknowingly comfort ourselves. When we help lift another person's burden, a part of our own begins to lighten. The act of kindness doesn't erase our problems, but it reminds us that we are not powerless, that we still have something to give, and that even in our brokenness, we can bring light to others. Often, when despair takes over, we turn inward. We isolate, withdraw, and believe no one can understand what we're going through. But when we step outside that bubble of pain and focus on someone else's needs, a quiet transformation begins within us. We stop being consumed by our own darkness and start seeing how interconnected human lives are. When we listen to someone's story, when we offer a helping hand, or even a simple smile, we become a channel for healing, both theirs and ours. Hope flows through connection. It grows when it's shared. It's easy to think that we must have everything figured out before we can help someone else. But often, it is our scars, not our perfection, that inspire others the most. When we've walked through darkness, we understand pain differently. We speak from a place of empathy, not pity. Our experiences, no matter how painful, become tools of encouragement for someone who is still fighting their battle. Sometimes all someone needs is to hear, "I've been there too, and I made it." Those simple words can reignite hope where there was none. When we give hope, we receive it. The heart works like a mirror. What we reflect to others comes back to us multiplied. Helping others reminds us of the goodness that still exists in humanity, of the beauty in caring and being cared for. It reminds us that love is not something we need to wait for. It is something we can create. In sharing compassion, we remember that the world is not as cold as it seems. In the same energy we use to lift others eventually circles back and heals parts of us we didn't even know were wounded. Small acts of kindness often have the biggest impact. A kind word, a gesture of support, or simply listening without judgment can bring warmth to someone's lonely heart. And in doing so, we begin to see that our own pain has purpose. It teaches us how to understand others more deeply. Helping others in despair teaches us perspective. It shows us that while our struggles are real, we are not alone in them. There's a quiet strength that comes from realizing that pain connects us all, and love has the power to ease it. In moments when life feels meaningless, serving others gives us direction. It pulls us out of the prison of self-pity and puts our focus on what truly matters: kindness, empathy, and connection. The more we give, the more we grow. The more we share hope, the more hope we discover within ourselves. Helping others is not just an act of generosity. It is an act of healing for them and for us. Because when we light another person's candle, our own light doesn't fade. It shines even brighter.